There we are, we're live, okay.
Kathy, can you hear me?
Yes,
Great.
we can't see you, but is that purposeful?
No, it's not purposeful.
We are now live.
Okay, welcome everyone. This is the March 24th, 2021 meeting of the Village of Mamaroneck Planning Board. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And we're going to do something different tonight, and even the board members don't understand why this was on the agenda. We're going to indicate attendees because we found out that the person who's watching the video to do the minutes can't always tell who was at the meeting if they don't show up on the screen or don't speak during the meeting. So we're going to just basically tick off who's here. So we have all 5 members of the planning board, myself, Cindy Goldstein, John Verney, Ellen Styler, and Richard Littman. We have our village planning consultant, Ashley Lay. We have our village planner, Amber Novak. We have our village consulting engineer, Esteban Garcia. And I believe we have our building inspector, right, Frank Tavalacci. I saw him in the waiting room earlier. I'm not sure we want to elevate him up. And if there's anyone else who should be noted from the village as being in attendance, hi Frank.
Teresa?
We should probably, they raise their hand. I don't know if anyone else is here from the building department.
You didn't
I
mention
think that's
Teresa.
it. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping. I also want to just note.
Kathy, you forgot me.
Oh, Susan Oakley. Yes, we have Susan Oakley, the planning board's landscape consultant. Thank you, Susan.
And Teresa
Okay.
Baker.
The whole team is here. Great. Thank you, everybody.
You forgot Teresa.
And oh, gee, I'm staring right at her name. And Teresa Backner, who is the village planning board's attorney. I'm sorry, Teresa.
No worries.
This is new for me. I haven't done this before. I should have written down the names so I would just, instead of looking at the screen. Right. Okay. We good? Everybody? I got everybody? Okay. And I also just want to make a note that there was some scrambling going into this planning board meeting over the last couple of days with documents being added to the website at the last minute, changes to the agenda at the last minute. I understand that for you planning board aficionados who may be following us, I apologize if this caused you any concern or disconsternation, because we just got some things later than normal. The planning board was also kind of scrambling. As soon as we got documents, we were posting them. And then we had a request to be on the agenda that came in time to go on this agenda, but it kind of fell through the cracks. So we added that at the very last minute this afternoon. And in order to prevent the applicant from losing their site plan approval. So I just want to make sure that people who are following us, and I know there are people who do that, don't think anything happened untoward, that it was just some glitches in getting things timely and whatnot. We did the best we could to make sure that we're accommodating planning board members, but most importantly, we're accommodating the applicants as best we can. Okay. So we're going to start the meeting with approval of minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes before us for approval. The first one is minutes from the meeting of Wednesday, January 13th. I have a comment on the last page, but if anybody has any comments before then, please jump in. No. Okay, on the top of the last page, I don't know, Amber, if you're making note of this to tell Barbara. After the first bullet, I think I said something about what Miss Oakley had questioned in a document she had sent to us, but then the next 3 bullets, the next 2 bullets, I believe, were the response from the applicant's consultant. And then the final bullet was the conclusion of the conversation. It looks like I said all four of those things. So I didn't say anything about trees being damaged in the storm. So that just has to be clarified. Okay. Do I have a motion then to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Cindy, you're muted. All right.
Somebody filled in.
Second,
Okay, thank you very much. Cindy,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
John,
yes.
and I also approve. Okay, now we have minutes for our meeting of January 27th, 2021. Does anyone have any comments on these minutes? No? Do I have a motion to approve these minutes as presented? As
So
drafted?
moved.
Second,
Okay, John,
yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
and I vote yes. And finally, we have minutes from our February 10th, 2021 meeting. And this is where Barbara, who does our minutes for us, had a question about whether she put down Frank Tavolacci and Ashley were present, but she was questioning to make sure that they actually were. And so we can tell her, I do believe that you were present. Other than that, I have no comments on these minutes. Anybody have any comments? No?
That was your fastest meeting, Kathy.
Say,
That was your fastest meeting.
I know, it's like 10 minutes. Well, we had one item on the agenda.
7:14.
I know. I'm going for the record, John.
That was good.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the minutes of February 10th.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Okay. Okay, Ellen,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, people just moved around on my screen. It's very disconcerting. All right, this brings us now to the first item on the agenda. This is an open application for 594 Alder Road for an in-ground swimming pool. We heard from the applicant at our last meeting on the end of February. So we need to promote the person who's going, or persons who are going to be speaking to this application. When we last saw you, we typed the action, and then there were some open questions with regards to the SWIP and the landscaping. So I see we have Michael Stein has joined us.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, do you want to bring us up to date? I know you and Esteban have been trading memos back and forth.
Yes, we've actually been working with Esteban quite closely on this, as well as several other applications that will be on tonight. It's my understanding we've addressed all of Esteban's concerns.
Okay. Well, I guess the latest memo that we received just came in late this afternoon from Esteban, basically informing us that all of his issues that he has raised with you have been addressed.
Yes.
Okay, Esteban, that's accurate?
Yes, that is correct. There were some documents that were missing from the pre-submission, so they sent it over. Quickly looked at it and satisfied all my previous comments about the SWIP and as well as the plans as well. So as far as stormwater wise, I am comfortable with the plans and the SWIP as they are as of right now.
Okay. Now, your memo mentions that certain items have been added to the plans. The new revised plans have not been shared with members of the planning board at this point in time. Amber, have they been received in the office?
The plans that were, the revised plans,
I mean, this would have happened today.
right, we have, I cannot confirm as I was not in the office today.
Okay,
It-
okay.
I
So
understand.
Esteban, you've seen the revised plans, but we haven't seen the revised plans.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But overall, the revisions that were done are not substantial where it substantially changed the application. It was
Right,
basically
I
addressing some
understand that.
technical issues.
I'm just trying to make sure all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed
Oh, yeah, not a problem at all.
before we move forward. Right, okay.
Well, I also think there were 2 items on the village consulting planners memo of February 23rd, talking about updating sheet C2, talking about the 40% coverage, make it, you know, to show the updated calculation, and then also talking about a lighting plan, or there is no lighting plan, I believe, but is that all noted somewhere? I'm not sure the plans were.
There's no intent on providing any lighting, exterior lighting. There may be a couple internal pool lights, but that's more of a safety.
Plan was updated to add the 40% comment,
Okay.
to address that comment.
Okay,
Okay, and then the other open issue was when you presented and we had a discussion at the last meeting with regards to this project. The homeowner mentioned that he was going to do some planting, but we had no landscape plan.
Sorry. So I figured I'd just bring up the plan. So there was a concern raised about this one area that they would like to see some additional trees. We added 4 additional arborvitae, basically in the same context as all the rest of the vegetation around.
Right. Okay, and then there's a chain link fence that's on the applicant's property, correct?
Correct.
That goes around the
That's right here.
entire, and that will be, that's the only fence then around the pool area. You know, that will be the security fence for around the pool area. as well?
Correct.
Okay. And then I see there's also mention of a stockade fence, but that's on the property behind. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So these are the revised plans as of this morning. So, right. All right. So there really wasn't much of a landscape plan to be reviewed by our landscape architect. But Susan, if you have any comments that you'd like to make, please feel free to jump in.
I didn't see anything striking, so I didn't.
Right, okay.
create a
Yeah,
memo.
it's 4 arborvitae in addition to the other arborvitae that are already there, so. Okay, and when we last met and spoke about this, there were some concerns from some of the neighbors. And I don't know if there's any one who would like to speak about this application before the planning board tonight. If there's anyone in the audience, if you raise your hand, Amber can elevate you or promote you, I think the word is.
We do have someone who wishes to speak. Sandra Schwartz.
Okay. Okay, Sandra, you're muted. Sandra, you're muted. You might want to unmute yourself.
Okay. I'm Sandy Schwartz. We have the property in back, so I'm just would like to double check about the arborvitae facing our property on the left-hand side. There are several trees there. They are in terrible condition. There's really not much left on them. They're pretty dead. Looks like the deer had gotten to them. So I just want to make sure that that area, which is quite bare right now, is going to be fully covered with screening. It's very bare.
It appears that's what the plan is, but is somebody from the applicant want to just reassure your neighbor behind?
I don't know if 4 is going to do it.
If there's additional trees that need to be added in, I'm sure the client will be happy to do that.
Okay. Now also, arborvitae, if you're already getting deer browse in your
I'm
yard,
so sorry, the applicant is on the line, and so I'm just gonna promote him to panelist so that he
Okay.
can speak.
but what I was saying was arborvitae are very tasty to deer. So if you're already getting deer browse in the yard, you're going to also have to do something to make sure that the arborvitae, the new and the old, are sprayed or protected in another way than from the deer. Mr. Kligman, you want to speak?
Yes, thank you, everybody. Just a note on the village website, it posted this meeting at 8 o'clock. So just in the future, you may want to double check that because it came up as 8 on the
The calendar?
Yeah.
I noticed that on the Facebook page too. It was mentioned at 8 o'clock. Amber, I think that's a note for Robert in Genito. He seems to think we started 8. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So just back to the back corner. I had Mike Hudson put it as 4. I'm happy to put more back there. That's a tricky corner. Sandra, you'll find out there's a Japanese maple that is in the corner of my property. I built the whole pool around that Japanese maple because it's such a beautiful tree. And I did not want to, under any circumstances, take that out. I basically tried to follow the footprint of what I could figure of the previous pool based on pictures that my kids actually found online of the old house. But in that corner, because it's shady, it's the deer and it's shady, and I continually will replace what's in that corner. So I'm going to try and put the arborvitaes back. I'm going to have them sprayed with the deer repellent. I spoke to Mangones, and they have the stuff to spray it. And I give you my word that if it ends up where they continue to get brown and the deer are always in that corner, I even get the fawn laying down in there, I will replace those as necessary to give you the screening that you need.
I appreciate it. And I know I live in Shorey because the deer are our enemy. And that seems to be an area where they love to browse.
For sure. And you asked me last time about that fire hydrant. I looked into that too. It's just laying there. It looks like it was a former, and at one time they must have used it for something, but it's not connected to anything. It's just laying on the ground. And when they start the construction, I'm going to probably either just pitch it or I'm going to have my son try and sell it on eBay.
I was just going to say, sell it on eBay. I'm sure some people want it.
Yeah.
It used to be on the property. It was actually attached to that property at one time.
See, I didn't even know that. So I'm going to get it out. It's not connected. And like I said, you'll probably see it on eBay.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Anyone else would like to address this? Does any member of the planning board have any question, comment, anything?
Well, I first of all, I think it's Mr. Kligman, and in our paperwork, it's Mr. Klingman. So I think we should get the name right. If it is Kligman, there's no N in the middle.
There's no N.
But normally in a resolution like this, if there are new plantings, we put something in the conditional section talking about that they will be maintained, not just planted and then,
Right.
not watered or taken care of. And I think it's usually for a year. I think we could maybe add something that says if they don't make it, that a different planting material might need to be substituted if the deer continue to be a problem.
That is correct. And since, like I said, we were sort of on parallel tracks here, this is at the moment where the 2 parallel tracks converge. So we have a draft resolution, but we knew we probably would have to make some changes to it tonight. So we can add a condition under the resolve that any new plantings would be maintained. And you're required by code to maintain them anyway. Anyone with a pool is required by section 300 of village code to make sure that the pool is adequately screened from neighbors. And it's not just when you get the first, when you first put the pool in, it's when you have a pool, period. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
It's Gary still. Am I still up? Am I still up?
Yes, you're still on.
Okay. So as for watering, for Sandra's peace of mind about, because I was struggling in that corner about maybe a year ago or just a little more, I drip lined that whole back area. So they added, on side from my sprinkler system, I had a drip line additionally installed back there to add more water. And that runs in because I have the Ratio, and it adjusts up and down throughout the season. It's a smart learning watering irrigation controller that runs up sometimes over 2 hours a day in the hottest months. So I'm watering that area. I promise you, I will not, cut back on that. And if anything happens and the deer or whatever, I'll just keep replacing them.
I appreciate it. I do have a question. I need clarification. And Gary, maybe you know this. The stockade fence, is that on my property or yours?
So I thought, and Mike Stein could probably answer this, I had DC Merritt's out here for a survey. I thought it was on my property, but when they said on this call that it's on your property, I'm not sure. I mean, Mike would probably know.
It is literally right on the line.
The chain link fence too?
And the chain link fence is on the other side of the stockade?
The chain link fence is on the 594 side,
Okay.
but the stockade it shows it dead on the property line.
Okay. So if it has to be maintained, one of us will do it. Okay.
Okay.
Want to replace it?
Okay. Question then for the planning board. Do you all want to proceed with the resolution, the draft resolution tonight, or would you prefer to wait till the next meeting? We've pretty much finished the review of the application. We have a draft resolution in front of us. We have one amendment to that draft resolution with regards to a condition, the typical condition on plantings. Does anybody have any problem with continuing? Mr. Kligman, have you had an opportunity to look at the draft resolution?
Yes, I have. And I mean, if I'm not trying to push anybody, but if it could get resolved today, I've contracted, I could put Brian, you might want to jump in on this because Brian, why don't you kind of take this one? Because we're trying to move forward, to try.
Yeah, we understand that. I just wanted to know if you have any issues or questions about the resolution. That's all.
Oh, no, not at all. Everything is fine.
All right.
I'm very satisfied.
Right. We try to move things along as best we can. We don't want them hanging around either.
I appreciate that.
We have a lot of new applications coming in with the spring.
Thank you.
So we're trying to get rid of the ones that are here.
Thank you so much. I
I
misunderstood.
don't mean get rid of them. I mean, resolve them.
Kathy, for the record, do you want me to go over the changes to the resolution that are in front of the board quickly?
Sure.
Okay. So we've corrected Mr. Kligman's name in the heading and the first paragraph. In the 6th whereas clause where it's highlighted in yellow, that would now read, the applicant's engineer submitted a revised stormwater management plan dated March 24th, 2021. This letter and the enclosed plans address the remaining concerns expressed by Kellard Sessions, and Kellard Sessions provided a final memorandum dated 3/24/21 finding, and then it's the same.
Okay.
And then the other changes under the last be it further resolved, we've added a new item, and that item would read, applicant shall maintain the proposed new plantings of arborvitae shown in the plans.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you, Teresa.
No problem.
Okay, if everyone's okay, I need a motion then to approve the resolution as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Ellen,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Good luck. with your.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Good luck
everybody.
with your project. I hope it goes well.
And thank you, personal thank you to Amber in the office. I was new to this and she was fantastic with all the follow-up and helping me through the
Oh,
process.
great. Thank you for telling us this, because Amber's relatively new also. So it's nice to know she's graduated, right?
She was
Thank you.
great.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, that brings us to the next item on the agenda, which is also a swimming pool application. Seems to be the pandemic, what's going on with the pandemic. And Mr. Stein, you'll be happy to know that we've grouped all your applications together, so you don't have to stick around after you're done.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we also then have an application for a swimming pool.
I also just want to quickly note for the record that Dennis Drogan from the building department is on the call. He's called in. It's the number 91433.
Oh, okay.
Not to read it for the record, but he's on the call.
So for the
and he
minutes.
joined a little bit later than the attendance that was taken.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I was wondering who that was. Okay, so this too, we met you at the last meeting. At that meeting, we discussed issues with regards to the stormwater management plan, some other issues with regards to the project. And so I understand there's been some discussion and some work on these issues. Mr. Stein, I believe you've joined the project, so do you want to bring us up to date?
Sure.
Where you stand now?
Basically, again, like all projects that we're working on, our first step is to go out and do field testing. As anticipated, we had ledge rock at a relatively shallow depth in most of the areas. However, we did find one test hole actually right next to where the pool is going, where we did get down to a sufficient depth and without encountering ledge rock, and had a fantastic percolation rate. So we basically went back and designed the whole stormwater management system. It involves both Coltex as well as some additional storage to provide into the Coltex. We've been working again very closely with Esteban, trying to address all his comments from the previous comments as well as other ones that were issued. And I'm hoping that he may have had a chance to review all the final revisions that we made. If not, whatever last revisions there were or comments there were relatively minor. I know we also had submitted or developed a landscape plan based upon input from the owner. I don't recall if Susan Oakley had a chance to review that or not.
Okay, let's do one thing at a time.
Sure.
Okay, so we have this revised plan in front of us. And we also received a copy of this at the end of last week for our review. Does anybody have any questions? I think one of the open issues the last time was the area of disturbance and the access to the construction area. And
so the access to the rear yard will be off of the driveway right through here. So there'll be, for all the construction, they'll be coming through, coming through the driveway, then into the backyard. The approximate limits of disturbance is 4,620 square feet.
And that's the area that's in between the dark line here in the back.
Yep, this dark dashed line.
Okay. All right, so that got it. That question was addressed, and then I don't know if Esteban has any comments about that, because I know that was an issue that you raised. So Esteban, we also have a memo dated March 22nd from you, and I think there's still some open issues. So have they been addressed since this memo has been issued? We don't have anything updated from you or from Mr. Stein.
I haven't I haven't had a time to review the revised drawings. Partly they did come in a couple hours prior to this meeting.
Yes,
so I haven't.
No, we were scrambling.
I haven't had a chance to open it up, but it seems that some of the, just as at a quick glance of this revised plan, it seems that some of the comments have been addressed. I just need time over the next couple days to look at it and provide my any further comments, or say if my comments have been addressed from the initial memo from the 22nd.
Okay. Okay, so
The,
that's
the comments that were contained in the March 22nd review memo were relatively minor with respect to the overall scope. So, I mean, if those could be made a condition of approval, that would be really appreciated. And
okay.
we'll of course, we'll work with Esteban to make sure any concerns he's had are all addressed.
Okay. All right. How does the board feel about that? I mean, everyone got a copy of this on, let's see, on Monday, I guess, or yesterday, whenever we got these. Okay, so I'm just browsing through it. Number 8 on the memo is the first item that was not yet addressed. It says that the plan notes a section of the proposed patio is to be within yard setbacks and shall consist of bluestone set on compacted stone dust without use of mortar joints. The details shall be coordinated with what's shown on the plan. The section, and then it looks like, on the plan, it says something else. So this was a discrepancy between what was described and what was illustrated on the plans. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, but I think that memo related to the previous plans from the other engineer that had prepared the plans from the last planning board meeting.
Okay, so that's been corrected?
Yes, but I think there was still back and forth in terms of what materials were going to be used for the patio. Maybe the applicant can further share for that. So since I didn't see like
all new patio areas will be the bluestone set in stone dust. There'll be no new patio areas set in concrete.
Okay.
Okay. So that could be a condition to make on our resolution to make sure that's done. Are you fine with that, Esteban?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Item 11, additional spot grades should be added to the pool patio to demonstrate how the new patio will be collected in the trench drain to the greatest extent practicable. I love reading engineering reports. So it just says this was not addressed. So somebody would want to have to explain this to us and to tell us what's going on.
So the plans that were submitted prior to my updated memo didn't have additional spot grades. So it was a little bit unclear how the water would get there, but it seemed would get into the trench drain. But it seems from this revised plan that Michael Stein has provided to us, it seems that some of the spot grades have been added to the revised plan, illustrating the pitch along the patio and showing how water would get into the trench drain.
And we also have we have a mini channel drain which goes along all the downhill side of the patio. So with the pool elevation set at 25, it's all set to be pitched away. And this is the uphill side, so we're not going to have any drainage coming this way. So, but again, I mean, we can definitely add some additional spot grades as may be necessary.
Okay. Anybody uncomfortable with proceeding the way we're proceeding now? Anyone on the planning board uncomfortable with this? No? Yes? No? Speak now. Teresa, are you able to somebody's got some background noise that's so if you're not speaking, if you can mute yourself, that would be great. Okay. Kids and dogs.
Kids and dogs, yes. Those are my kids and dogs, so I can't
sorry.
you can talk at the same time. I apologize.
Sorry. I close myself in the only room I can with a door, so the dogs, we don't hear my dogs, or we'd be right there with you. Okay.
I did not see. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We have one person who has their hand raised. Oh, I'm sorry. That's just you, Michael.
Okay,
No, we do not have anyone who wishes to speak.
okay. Okay, we'll get to the landscaping in a minute. Let's just continue on this. Okay, item 14, it appears the retaining wall along the western property line of the parcel will require a footing drain from any potential groundwater flow from the proposed infiltration system. The plan shall include size, slope, and materials.
Part of what we've done with the infiltration system is we put a barrier around it to make sure that anything is being percolated is being percolated vertically as compared to horizontally. In part because that's what is allowing us to be closer to the foundation than typically we would allow. And we can look at that same barrier along that side, but one way or another, I mean, it's a relatively low wall. I don't think we're about a foot high, and which would be that foot where our infiltration system is, we'd be below where the ground elevation is, basically. So we really wouldn't be contributing any water to behind the wall.
So is that shown on these updated plans?
Yes, the invert of the system is of the Coltech system is, where are we? Is elevation 20.5. So the top of the unit is around 22, 23, and our ground elevation here is 23.
And so where's the wall that you were
This
talking
is the
about?
wall right along the western side here.
That's only about a foot high.
It's about a foot high here. It gets to about just over 2 feet high back in this corner, 2.5 feet, and over here is about 2 feet.
That's shorter than it was previously proposed, correct?
I don't know what the other
No, that's it's variable. We haven't changed the top of wall elevation, so there might be just a few places where it's a little bit more than that, but it's very variable given the existing conditions.
So the top of our stormwater system here is elevation 23, whereas the ground elevation over on this spot is 23.8. So we're pretty far away from there to be able to have an impact to any footing drains for this wall. We're actually, based upon the height of the wall, I don't even see really a need to have any footing drains behind it.
Okay.
Yeah, I could conclude with that assumption. I think as long as they can provide I don't know if I didn't see from the previous engineer, it looks like he submitted a retaining wall detail. I didn't see one on this one, so I don't know if that one could be provided just to kind of show.
That's no problem at all.
Yeah, so as long as it shows the depth of how far the footing, the retaining wall is going deep into the ground, and showing that relative, I guess, to the proposed infiltration system, then I can that would address that comment, and a footing drain wouldn't be needed in this case.
And I'm just scrolling down because I'm pretty sure there we are.
Okay.
So the retaining wall details, we're not showing any footing drains on them. Oh, sorry.
No, it's better enlarged. We can see it better.
So that's just the detail with the wall, with the fence in the wall. And this is the detail itself for the wall.
Okay. Okay. We good on this one? That brings us to item 16 on the memo. The plan illustrates the proposed pop-up emitter connected to the proposed trench drain. The plan shall illustrate the pop-up emitter connect directly into proposed infiltration system to provide emergency overflow for larger storms. So
for larger storms, basically the water just isn't accepted into the system. It'll flow basically as the trench drain is level going across it. So it'll just basically continue right across it, and no more additional flows will enter into it. There's nothing that it could back in that could potentially damage the house or into roof leader drains or things along that lines. So it's usually, And this puts it almost as a level spreader where, again, it's a uniform line going across, that it's not just one point that dumps right out.
Okay.
So I guess, Esteban, I'm not sure what your comment, when you say not addressed for number 16. So
From the previous plan to this plan, the previous plan showed a pop-up emitter connected right to the trench drain. When I saw the latest set of plans, it didn't include a detail for an overflow. So that's why I said the comment wasn't addressed, because I didn't see that from the last plan to this plan. So I don't know if Mike, if he haven't not seen the set of drawings just yet, given the time of when it was submitted, has overflow been added to the plans?
No, and if we were to, I would probably take an overflow and put it down to the front of the property, just so that way it wouldn't go on. If it overflowed, it wouldn't go onto the neighbor's property, which we can do that. It's not really a big deal.
Okay.
And I can connect right into the side of the catch basin. So when I come down here, it would overflow out down here.
That is fine.
Okay. Sounds like we have resolution there. And then the final issue, again, number 19, the plan shall illustrate the connection between the pool equipment and drawdown mitigation practice.
And that's connect full discharge piping for 6-inch drawdown to proposed Coltec recharger. That's the note we have in right here.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
It's satisfied.
Okay, so that's on the plans. Okay. Okay, that was everything on the engineering. Let's go back to the other open issue. That was the raising of the grade in order to be able to accomplish this in the back corner there, to accomplish the pool, and the impact it would possibly have on the neighbors' trees that are right on the other side of the property line. When we last discussed this, the neighbor asked for time to look into this issue. I don't know if someone from the neighbor is here, but why don't you explain? I think you're proposing to replace.
Yeah, I could take this. This is Mike Geary, the homeowner. So I coordinated with my neighbor. One of the trees, the spruce, was leaning to the side, and it's a little dangerous, whatever. So we took that down. So the tree that needs to be removed on her property, that's the closest to the wall, has been removed. Stump is ground out, and we're going to replace that tree. The larger 36-inch mulberry is going to remain, and we'll do the root protection as per the information given us by Terabella.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay. But I think there was a note that if the larger mulberry tree is damaged, it will be replaced. Is that correct?
No, we are just going to cut the roots back to the property line, carefully with the, per the memo that Terabella provided.
Okay. So one tree has been removed because it was damaged, and the other tree, you're going to protect it by cutting back the roots.
Yes.
Okay. Is there is your neighbor here to comment on this, or if so, raise your hand so Amber can promote you. And Susan, I don't know if you have any comments also on this.
I do not see anyone who wishes to speak.
Okay.
I'll just say, I have a letter I could always provide if you guys want. She gave me a letter. We all signed it with our tree removal company about which tree is coming down, and then we did the work.
Okay. Okay. Susan, do you have anything to add? Are you comfortable with this?
I'm comfortable with the treatment of the 36-inch mulberry tree as if the applicant follows the directions for proper tree pruning, which they mention on the landscape plan. Perhaps we should pull that up while we're talking about it. They mention in the notes about the mulberry tree that the root pruning is included on the plan, but it is not. So that needs, how that is going to be treated should be mentioned in the notes.
Yeah, what we said was it was a plotting error. I think we fixed it. It was included when we, it's just a layer issue because we've scanned the memo in and
Okay.
Okay, there were a few other issues. Quite often during construction, a demolition plan is the only thing given to contractors. So I like to emphasize that the trees that are to remain and the tree protection notes should be included on the existing.
they're there and there's no further trees coming down.
No, I understand that, but they weren't on the plan I received, the demo plan, the existing conditions and demolition plan that I received, as you can see there. So what often happens is somebody comes in and they don't realize that the trees need to be protected and the root system gets damaged with trucks.
We can add the tree protection on this plan as well. That could help clarify.
Mike, it's on the other sheet.
And the existing trees.
No, I realize it's just right here on this one.
It's on the landscape plan, but
Yeah,
it
it's
should
on
be.
the landscape plan, but we can add this on to either sediment erosion control plan or just to make sure it's covered in multiple places.
Yes, I'm not sure why you didn't receive, Michael, the March 18th memo that I sent, but it's all detailed in that memo.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'll have to check.
Okay.
That's not a problem. We can easily take care of that.
The applicant clarified the mulberry tree situation. It probably makes sense since you're changing the landscaping to remove the tree that's been the
This one right here.
yeah, the spruce that's been removed. Just take that out of there, so it's not an issue. Another concern I had was on the, I'm not sure the direction, the lower west side of the area of lower left side of the area of disturbance. Those, I believe there's 7 of those North arborvitaes. Oh no, English laurels that are to be planted right on top of the attenuation gallery. If
We
you
moved the gallery. The gallery's to the right now.
Yeah, the gallery's here.
Oh, perfect. Good. That didn't make sense that that would be there. Okay. And that alleviates that issue of, in case anyone's wondering, the shrubs were planted right above that piping system and it been too shallow for trees. And now they've moved it underneath the permeable patio, bluestone patio. And one more item was that the retaining walls and the fencing were, detailed drawings were in the original package, but I could not find them in the set of plans that I received. And I think the plans should contain the retaining wall drawing. Oh, I see that you pulled it up before. And the fencing. The fencing is, I didn't see that either.
It's on there now. We have the fence all called out. And I think it was on the set that we submitted ahead of the BAR meeting.
The detail drawing?
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. We submitted this set, then we updated the BR later. Okay.
Yeah, those are the fence wall, the fence. And the,
okay, great.
This question's for Michael Stein.
Yes.
What is the date on the drawings that are on the screen right now? Because I think these are updated from the ones that we reviewed over the the ones I have are dated the 15th of March.
That's
today's date.
These are today's date. Okay, so a reference to these drawings in our resolution has to be the updated date. That's why some of it's different from what we're looking at. I'm like, wait, I don't have that on my screen here. Like, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm glad we were able to get this done. Okay, I think that was all the open issues, but please, anyone else on the planning board, if you have anything else in your notes or any other questions that have arisen because of the discussion here tonight, please feel free to jump in and
So let me just confirm, Susan, with you that, I mean, there were a lot of items in your memo of March 18th. Has everything now been addressed to your satisfaction based on what you looked at?
Well, I have not had the chance to review. This is the only chance I've had to review some of the changes that have been made in response to my March 18th memo. But just to go over them, it was that the trees and tree protection, existing trees and tree protection should be added to the existing conditions and demo plan, the sediment and erosion control plan, and the stormwater management plan, so that everyone across the board, whatever eyes see those plans, understand that those areas are to be protected with the tree protection detail. The other item was regarding the mulberry tree and the spruce tree. Was a discrepancy in the notes for the mulberry tree that said it was going to be removed, but it also mentioned that there would be root pruning.
Yeah.
I think the homeowner has clarified that.
Yeah.
But you should change those notes because it says it's supposed to be removed. So-
Yeah.
I completely concur.
Okay, so that has been clarified and the spruce has been removed, so that should be removed from the plan. In addition to the row of laurel trees with inside the retaining wall, inside the area of disturbance between the patio and the retaining wall, they were originally planted on top of the drainage attenuation gallery, and now they are showing us this evening that the plans have been revised today to show that that is not going to be an issue moving forward since they moved it. And the other thing was the missing detailed drawings for the retaining walls and the fencing, which they showed us are on these plans updated today. So I don't know if, we need to see another set of plans or what, but.
I will mention to my fellow planning board members, while many of these items in and of themselves are not really material, or we can see that there is an updated set of plans with some of these things. I think as much as I would like to be moving this along tonight, I just would really feel more comfortable if Mr. Garcia and Ms. Oakley took another look, and maybe we could see it too, of everything being done in one place. If it was one of these items, I don't think I'd have a problem, but it is so many things, I don't even know how we would write a resolution to include all of these elements of both the engineering and also of the landscape situation. But I'm open to discussion with other planning board members. There's a lot of items that need to be addressed, updated on the plans.
Yeah, I have to say, I agree. My question was going to be, if we approve this tonight, what control do we have over making sure all the different pieces are actually put into the final plans? I'm a little uncomfortable about that.
Well, these would all be both Susan Oakley's letter or the comments contained in Susan Oakley's letter, as well as Esteban's letter, would all be conditions of approval that we'd have to meet. We'd still have to resubmit plans that addressed all those comments, and the same two people would be confirming that, yes, we did in fact address everything. So we wouldn't even be able to get a sign off from them to get a building permit until we did that.
So this gets into that fuzzy line of, why are we here? If we just always relied on our experts, which we do greatly, then you don't need a planning board to look at things. Not that I want to check, check that every T is crossed and every I is dotted, but I think to do it on the fly with so many individual things sets a bad precedent for the planning board. And while it's a pool, it's not a 5-story apartment building. I'm uncomfortable with it, but as I said,
this also gets into the significance of what the remaining comments are, and I will definitely defer to Susan and Esteban if these are. It really comes down to are these substantial in what the comments are compared to the plans we've already submitted. There are relatively minor changes that we have to make, which are easy enough to make.
I understand that. It's more the totality. There are a lot of them. It's not one or two. And I think a few of them, I would think Mr. Garcia would just need to look at them more carefully, and maybe he'll have another question. And then if we approve this tonight, it's out of our control. And I don't know how much leverage he has over, I know you would do whatever needs to be done, but I think this is a bad precedent for us to, release it all. We're very close.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here. Can we, Michael, maybe you can stop sharing your screen so we can see.
Sorry about that.
We can see other members of the planning board. Okay, so 2 members of the planning board have expressed some concern about doing this. I think if if the plans that Michael had on the screen that are dated today were something that we had in hand, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable about this. We're sort of doing things, on the fly here. We're trying to accommodate the applicant because time is moving forward, and we don't have our next meeting until 3 weeks from today because we have an extra Wednesday in the month of March. So I think we're giving it our best shot, but I also share your concerns. I think there's just so many things, and we don't have dates on final plans to even put in the resolution at this point in time. So I think I'm going to end the discussion here and just hold it over to the next meeting just for the resolution. By then, if you submit the new plans, that'll give our consultants ample time to give us the final sign-off memos. It'll give the planning board ample time to review everything and make sure everything is exactly, as we had hoped it would be. And I don't think it still just brings you into the beginning of April and gives you time to get the pool installed before the season starts. So I think that's where we'll leave it tonight. And Amber, then just if you can carry it over then to the next meeting. We have move on. We have other agenda items to take care of tonight. But thank you everyone for scrambling to get us to the point we are now. I know our consultants and Mr. Geary and your staff and you brought Michael onto the project. He got a lot done in the short time that he was working with you. And I think we're right there. We just have to tie up everything in so it's clear and we know exactly what we're approving. Okay. All right, thank you. This brings us to the third pool of the evening.
I just want to say that, we got the comments, some of the comments came yesterday, so,
I know, we got them too. I understand.
You got them yesterday? The village got the comments yesterday?
We got them yesterday also.
No, but the village got them yesterday?
We got the memos from Mr. Garcia, yes. So, we tried our best. We managed to.
You got it? The village got the memo yesterday?
Yes.
From Esteban?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So we're all under the same time crunch.
And Amber, you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
You got them the same time we did. So we're all trying to do the best we can. So, okay. All right. We need
Amber, if you could forward that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Let's switch over then to the next item on the agenda, which is 1069 Bayhead. another application for an in-ground swimming pool. This is a new application. If you could present the application, and then one thing that we have to accomplish tonight is we have to classify the action under the secret law. So I guess Michael Stein, you're up again.
Hello, again.
Again, I don't know, you're the go-to guy for pools.
We're doing a lot of them at this point.
It sounds like it. It seems to be, a sign of the pandemic times.
Let's see.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is the one where the plans are all sideways. It's hard for me to see them. Right. Okay. Why don't you give us an overview of the project? Again, this is the first time we're seeing this. So there are a lot of open issues. So let's start.
So yes, good evening. We're looking at a pool at 1069 Bayhead Drive. Let's see. Again, first thing we're doing for stormwater design is we're doing field testing to make sure we have adequate percolation and deep hold separation to groundwater ledge rock. In this case, everything worked very well. We had very good results. And so we're fully infiltrating all the runoff coming from the new impervious surfaces coming in. We have our construction entrance leading into the site to get back around the house, concrete washout area, some minor regrading in the backyard. However, for the most part, it's pretty level already. We're just shifting one contour out to here that originally came through. Relatively minor regrading in order to put this in. We're putting in an isolation row to treat water quality, and that's basically it. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. So we have just really an introductory memo from Esteban, basically laying out the issues, his general comments, which again, we received in advance of this meeting. But obviously you haven't had time to review it and to comment on it. So that spells out the issues. We also have a landscape review report from our landscape architect, Susan Oakley, which also then identifies some issues with regards to, let me see, I don't think that, yes, as far as things needing to be indicated on the plans and, just open issues. Again, this is just the opening of the application. So we're at the very beginning of the application process at this point in time.
Yep, understood. And we've also been working in communication with Esteban as to make sure whatever comments he had, and I think we pretty much have gone through addressing them. So that, I mean, the next meeting, we should, everything from as far as he's concerned should be completely addressed.
That would be a good goal.
Yeah.
Does anybody on the planning board, as you review this?
My name is Cheryl Russ. I'm the applicant for 1069. So I just wanted to kind of jump in, please. So I've actually made the changes as per the for the landscape plan, the revisions to that. And I also, as Mike mentioned, do know that they did address almost all of the items on Mr. Garcia's memorandum that we received yesterday.
Okay. Then in advance of the next meeting, Amber, you can tell them when the deadline is to get the material in for the next meeting. You have an extra week this time because of the extra week in March. All the changes that you made, just submit them. We'll review everything, and discuss this at more length in the next meeting.
So at the next meeting, if all of these items are addressed, is that, as long as there's no other kind of pressing items, does it usually get approved at a follow-up meeting?
It's very possible, just like we did with the Alder tonight.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't present.
Yeah, it's very possible. If this is straightforward and there are no issues that come up and everything gets addressed that's been raised as an issue, we could draft a resolution and we can do it that night. If there's issues that are still open, then we'll have to carry it over until they're addressed.
Okay.
But before we move on, are there any other issues or anything that was anybody from the planning board? Ashley, our planning consultant?
Just one minor comment on sheet C-2. It needs to include in the lot coverage calculations, a calculation of the coverage just within the rear yard, which has a maximum of 40%.
Okay.
So since you're doing lots of pools, Mike, that's going to be a comment for all of them.
Not a problem.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody have any issues? We do have to type this as a type 2 action for secret before we leave this item. Does anybody else have anything else they want to raise with regards to this particular?
Hi, this is Nick Barnes here. I'm the homeowner. And it's our first time going through this process in the village, of any kind. So I'm just curious, what's this point you're just mentioning, classifying as a type 2 act? What does that mean?
Ashley, would you like to
I can
include
keep
the
that.
secret act?
Sure. So anytime a land use board in the state of New York makes a decision on an application, they have to consider the potential environmental impacts of the project. And there's 3 different kinds of action. There's a type 2 action, which means that the project is on a list of actions that has no potential for significant adverse impact. And that's typically things like a single family home or in addition to a single family home. There's a whole list of items. There's a type 1 action, which that does have the potential for significant clearing of more than 25 acres, something that's next to a historic resource. It's a list. And then there's something in between called unlisted. This particular project is being classified as a type 2, which means that would close the seeker review and the board would be able to act.
Thank you. And my other question is just as a matter of process. Again, it's our first time coming through anything here. So our understanding was that our team here, Cheryl and Michael, went through the process of addressing everything that came up in the memos here in advance of the meeting. So I noted that the prior applicant, there was sort of a walkthrough of those and some discussion of potentially approving it conditionally. And it looks like we're not doing that for our application, even though it seemed that we had shorter lists and our team has addressed them.
This is your first time here before the planning board? The
Yes.
applicant prior to you, this was his second time. So we had already had the presentation of the project and our consultants had already sent us information with regards to their review of the project. Other than the landscape architect's review of the project, our engineer just basically sent us a memo that's boilerplate without any real review and comment on it. So your engineer, Michael Stein, will work with him over the next short period of time and hopefully get everything addressed, and we'll get a final report from Esteban, hopefully, that will say everything that he listed here is either not applicable or has been addressed. And the same thing with the landscape, and we would possibly most likely, but it all depends on what happens, approve you at the next meeting. It's not, it's very unusual to come to a land use board once. Because, I mean, quite frankly, we fast track our applications. Normally, we wouldn't even charge our consultants with doing any work on the application until you come before us and we open the application, and then we ask them to look at it. We managed to get this done a little bit faster so that we can do it in as few meetings as possible by starting before the meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just so you understand the process. I know it's confusing if you've not done this before, but we are here to help help the applicants along, but we're also here to protect the interests of the village of Mamaroneck as well. Okay, anybody on the planning board have any questions before we make a motion to classify this as a type 2 action? No? Okay, I need a motion then to type this as type 2 under secret.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, John,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay. We'll see you in a couple of weeks and hopefully everything will be all tidy and we'll be able to move along with the resolution and pass the project.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Look. Okay. That brings us now to the next new application, which is at 124 Palmer Avenue, the old New York Sports Club, which is proposed to be converted to office space. And let's bring up the, okay. Okay. We have Mr. Spatz here.
Good evening, Chair, members of the planning board.
Long time no see.
Long time no see. I've got, if I could, Amber, we have Eric Londa, Nick Girardi, Miguel Palma, Brian Dempsey, and Scott Greenberg. If we could elevate or promote them, that would be wonderful. I kind of feel left out. I don't have a pool to offer. I mean, maybe we'll throw it on the top of the building. I don't know. I mean, I
know. Pools are like
I'm the odd individual out, but okay, that's all right. Won't be the first. I see everyone coming up here. Okay, so we see Scott, who's actually the proprietor, the owner of the business. Brian, okay, Dempsey's there, Miguel. And let's see, Eric or Nick, you guys on board?
Yep, I'm here. Scott's here.
Right, Scott, I know you're there. I'm just want to make sure. Eric, okay, got it. All right,
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Good. I see everyone. Chair, members of the planning board, it's been a while. Let me introduce myself, Andrew Spatz for the record, 650 Halsted Avenue, Suite 105, Mamaroneck, New York, on behalf of the applicant, 124 Palmer, LRE Ferris LLC and Star Stock. First and foremost, I'm going to bring you back to your childhood. In about 5 minutes, you're going to understand why. It's legit. This application blew my mind when it first came through my door. It brought me back to, baseball cards and to chewing gum or from years ago. So nevertheless, we are talking about 124 Palmer Avenue, which was, as pointed out by our chair, the former home of New York Sports Club. And we're seeking to modify the existing building from what was an exercise club to an office assembly, as provided for in our section of the code, Village Code 342-31A1E. That's a mouthful. Again, 342-31A1E of the Village Code. Star Stock provides a marketplace for sports fans and card hobbyists to buy, sell, and invest in their favorite athletes and sports teams. And by way of background, this is the sports card business is actually a 5 to 10 billion, that's with a B, billion-dollar industry a year. And the proprietors who are on board this evening, that's Scott Greenberg, who actually still lives in Oriental. He was raised here in the village, attended school in the village, and he actually went to school with some of the members of our board and family members. So it's actually kind of like being back at home with everyone. So Scott Greenberg, who's on our phone or on the Zoom call, is joined by his co-founder, Nigel Eccles, who actually is not on the Zoom call tonight, but he also lives in the village since 2015. They can talk more about the actual platform which they provide, but it's a means where football, baseball, basketball, and soccer cards are actually sent and processed to 124 Palmer Avenue. At this location, they're processed, they're certified, they're graded, and they're archived. And once this is done, they then are actually shipped to a different location, a secure location, and they are vaulted for safekeeping. All the transactions that are involved with this business are actually on the property, but virtually. Over 100,000 cards are processed weekly. 4,000 to 10,000 sales can occur on any given day at the property. 20,000 virtual visits are done a day. Operation-wise, they will be employing approximately 25 individuals at the space. 5 people are in the marketing, business development, and 20 people are working in operations with the card sorting and assembly. Parking does not appear to be an issue, as reflected in the update provided by Brian Dempsey of Provident Design Engineering. That should, and I'm hoping that members of the planning board receive that update. I am interesting to note 22 people of the 25 will be using public transportation, specifically Metro North, and only 3 people will be commuting by car. For all intents and purposes, there appears to be very little build out. They plan on using the original flooring to accommodate the needs of the tenant. The locker rooms from New York Sports Club and some of the cardio and weight equipment that was present is also being maintained at the premises. So they're not changing a lot of the infrastructure internally, staying the same. The proposed floor reflects, hoping you saw that as well, reflects the assembly area, the office space, employee lounge, and ancillary storage, which again, that storage is only for temporary purposes because then everything's shipped to a secure vault. This, needless to say, I think was a very fortuitous encounter by the landlord, the owner of the property. They were very surprised, unfortunately, as I think the entire globe, when the pandemic struck so hard. It knocked out a very long-standing and good tenant of theirs. And obviously finding commercial tenants right now is not exactly an easy task, but they were able to come across these 2 young men who, again, are born, raised here in our village. And there's this amazing potential that's emerged with an extremely unique and tech-savvy based company. Scott, and it's very interesting, and I'll pass the baton off to to the applicant. I asked them, I said, why Mamaroneck? This is such a unique idea. Why do you want to be here? You could be in Brooklyn, you could be anywhere else. Why Mamaroneck? Why this space? It's a big space. Why do you? And they said, this is home to us. They offer during the summer internships to young individuals from the schools to help out with the baseball card and various sports cards, sorting, and it's something that they can get back to the community. And it's a very, very intriguing, and it's something that, as someone who's approaching 50, I forgot about baseball cards. My kids collect Pokemon cards. I don't even know what a Pokemon is. I know it's not a sports team. I know they don't play football, but so it's something that's exciting. And I'm hoping that we all can agree that this would be an ideal and different use for our C2 zone. So without further ado, we do have the property owners who are on board this evening, Eric and Nick. Scott Greenberg, who's present, who he is the owner or co-owner of Sport and Star Stock. And we also have the traffic engineer and the architect, Miguel, who's present. So we welcome all and encourage all questions. Thank you.
Can someone let Nick Girardi in?
Oh, Nick isn't on? I'm sorry.
No.
Sorry, what is his name on on Zoom? I have Nicole, Simon,
Could be Marie Girardi.
Marie.
Yeah, that's there.
Sorry, Amber. I had got that people have different names. As long as it's not one of those talking cats that we saw on the internet.
I see his name.
All right, thank you, Andrew, for taking us back to your childhood. I'm old enough.
Our childhood, Chair.
I'm a lot older than you. I put baseball cards on. Well, I didn't have a bicycle, but
I know you're about to say.
we
it
had
is
one
smokes, right?
bicycle we
It is
shared.
smokes. I know. Mr. Verney did that. There's no doubt that he had baseball cards in his
clothespins.
I was a big collector of the New York Yankee cards.
There you go. Hey, Scott's
We're
on board.
talking about the
right now.
1950s here. I had a Mickey Mantle card. It probably wasn't worth it.
You might want to go find those.
Anyway.
Everyone's gonna be doing that tonight.
We have a lot. We have a lot still to get to tonight, so we're going to go through this. This is the first time you're here.
Yes, Chair.
So, if somebody wants to, we saw the plans. We do have a memo from Provident Design Engineering dated February 23rd. We do not have anything updated. So if there was something after that, we didn't get it yet. We do have to type this for SECRA tonight. And Ashley and/or Amber, if you could please clarify, when we spoke last week, we said this didn't have to go to HCZM, but now our cover sheet says it does have to go to HCZM.
Right, so I dug into this a little bit more, and actually there's another change that will need to happen to the summary sheet based on, I did get a copy of the memo from Provident Engineering today, and they are changing the proposed use of the project from office to be an assemblage, which is also a permitted use in the C2 zoning district, but that particular use is also a special permit use. So it we need to add that it needs to go to the ZBA for the special permit.
Okay. Okay.
So I just received it today and didn't have a chance to update the summary sheet.
Okay.
Ashley,
All
if
right,
I
so
can.
we got a lot of moving parts here.
I see that, Chair, and I gotta tell you, before we move forward, I would love if we can, because I do have that question because I'm looking at 342.31A1E, and it appears that assembly is a following use a principal use permitted in C2. So I'm a little confused about the referral to ZBA.
Because it says it's compliant with Article X, and we've run into this issue before where when it says something's a permitted principal use, but then says it needs to be specifically approved under Article X, and Article X is the special permit procedures. We ran into this same issue with pools, and then when it went to the ZBA for pools, the ZBA then determined that they didn't need to vote on pools. But in this case, I'm not sure they would make that same determination.
Yeah, if you look at the at that section, it specifically directs you to the Zoning Board of Appeals rather than the Planning Board. So that's why Ashley is making that observation. Now, if you go to the ZBA and the ZBA says you don't need our approval, that's fine, but the code so far says that you do.
Okay, yeah, so we will, I thought, generally, I know with all food establishments and the C2, in particular C2, automatically go, but we will certainly look at that and take that obviously under advisement that we'll have to go to ZBA. My other question was, you're also saying with HGZM?
That's my question.
Right, because it's defined as an action in the.
So we're saying that they would have to establish, I mean, which we know.
So it would just be coastal zone consistent.
Consistent with all 44 policies of the LWRP, which I'm certain That's a one and done. I mean, I don't say anything's a one and done with, but I'm again, this is sort of new. I mean, to me, that now for just a mere office or assembly, we have to go, because we're not even talking about anything aesthetic or structural. But okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would jump in here with a little
Seriously.
experience on HCZMC.
Absolutely.
I don't think we ever looked at anything like this.
In the commercial area? Okay. I can do a little bit more digging. I was taking a strict reading of the code, but if that's not been the practice.
Because in every restaurant going to C2 would have to go in front of HCM. And in all due respect, and I would agree with Cindy, I mean, Ms. Goldstein, that you would have 15 applications for the restaurants.
Well, I think it's worth looking into just to be sure.
Yeah.
I think all we're doing tonight is really hearing about the project for the first time, and typing it for SECRA and sending it on its way, wherever that may be.
Okay. Okay. So instead of changing the use from the gym to the office, now you're changing it from the gym to assemblage?
Assembly, yes, Chair, because there is an ancillary office, and I would love, and that's what I was going to direct before, actually my questions were about HCM and the ZDA. Brian could actually jump in very quickly, Chair, and kind of get what the memo, which was, I wish you had that, but that memo does explain why there was a little bit of confusion in terms of,
Okay.
I gotta be honest, when they
That's
first
okay.
came to me,
Don't
I
get-
thought it was an office, but yeah.
We're
so
fine. We're fine. We can type it. You can move on to ZBA. By the
Sure.
time you come back to us, you'll have everything. I just never heard of anybody using the use assemblage before.
It's in the package of like light manufacturing, assemblage, producing, preparing of goods.
I mean, because you're not actually manufacturing these cars. I mean, these cars exist. You're right.
I can walk you guys through exactly what our process looks like if that would be helpful.
I think that Andy explained it quite. In fact, I was explaining this to my husband today. We were walking the dogs, and I said, "Oh, we have this application. The gym is turning into a sports card," and I described it exactly the way Andy did, and I didn't even know what I was talking about.
You know what? I just figured it out myself after Scott explained it to me yesterday. So you and I are on the same page, Chair. Scott, do you want to?
It's
Scott,
actually pretty clear.
do you have that in front of you? Just, I know they have a bunch of other items.
I can walk you through, and as Andrew said, I mean, in the past several months, we've seen a massive influx in cards sent into us. We're getting about 100,000 a week now. We're reaching the point where it's very critical that we find a larger location soon. We're currently in Mamaroneck. We're on 100 Mamaroneck Ave. And are just kind of really, really growing out of it and have been looking for a new location for the past several months, and feel like it's very critical to our business that we can find a place to move and process these cards, as we're building up quite a backlog and we're not able to efficiently process them in the place that we're at. Essentially what we're doing is we're getting a package of cards. We get dozens, if not hundreds of packages a day. This is a stack of about 50 sports cards right here in front of me. And what we're doing is we are processing and assembling someone's collection. And so we're putting together cardboard boxes in which we're storing them. They, fold together. We're placing these cards in plastic sleeves and these plastic top loaders. And then we are storing them and labeling them and barcoding them. And they will go through our process and then get shipped up to New Hampshire, as Andrew pointed out. And so it is definitely a pretty light assembly process. We're not doing any intense manufacturing or anything along those lines. But we're basically putting together people's sports card collections and digitizing it for them so they can sell them online, to basically anyone in the world.
But I want to point out, and I think this is an important point, to satisfy 34231, Chair and members of Planning Board, the transaction has to take place on site. So hence, when I talk about the transaction, the base, the headquarters is 124 Palmer. And if I want to buy a card, I'm purchasing it from that location, but it's remotely. They don't. So in terms of you can't just walk into this location and purchase cards. You actually have to, they do that for security purposes, because they have, obviously there's a tremendous amount of value in a lot of these cards, including the ones that you probably have, the Yankee ones that you're holding on to, Chair. And, so there's a value, but also, especially in light of what's happened over the last year or so, less contact, less people, the better. And that's the business model that they want to stick to.
Okay. Okay, so it sounds like we're kind of in the beginning of the process. Things are moved around a little bit. Go to zoning board and see what they say. If they want to do a special permit, or if they send you back to us, then we'll welcome you back. Ashley will and Teresa, the attorney, will do a little bit more digging about ACZM, but it sounds like you may or may not, but it sounds like probably not have to go there, but we'll make sure we're following the code properly. Just let me ask a question, because my question here is that, office use in the zoning code required for the square footage required a certain number of parking spaces. Yes. Does changing the use to assemblage, does that change the parking requirements at all?
Here it does, and I'll let Mr. Dempsey jump in on there. He's the parking specialist on the team. So go ahead, Brian.
Okay, and can I share my screen?
Sure.
Ember, or whoever controls it.
I think Ember does that.
Because if you have to go to
Sorry, you should be enabled to do so. You would just need to click the green, yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So when we first got started on it, it was mentioned to us it was office space. And so that's why the initial memo we put together quickly was office. On the site plan here, and I don't know if any of you have been into New York Sports Club before, but the building's going to be left basically the same. And there's going to be, so the locker rooms and the showers and all that will remain here. They're not going to be changed. The other parts of this office, there's going to be a small gym for the employees with some of the leftover exercise equipment. There'll be a lounge over, so with tables to eat lunch and such. And so basically, this area will be an open workspace for the assembly part, and along with this will be the operations and sorting. So there's really only one small office. That's why it's really not office space here. There's also going to be, there's a reception and such, but in terms of, there will be no customers here from outside. Everything is done online, and there's going to be no large trucks or anything bringing in cars. Anything would be in regular delivery vans. So it ends up being the parking by code for this. If it's one space per every 2 employees. So that would be 13 spaces, and that's what's being provided there. In reality, because most of the employees come by train, there would only be really 3 spaces that are needed for this site. But there are the 13 spaces. This site's very convenient. It's a 1/4 mile from the train station. It's a block from the post office, which they will use often. And it's also, next to Mamaroneck Avenue for all sorts of the food establishments. But so based on our calculations, we would meet in terms of the number of parking spaces required.
Okay, okay, that answered my question, because the planning board can't do any variances or anything from the code. That would be the purview of the zoning board. So if you had some issues with the parking requirements, that would be zoning board territory. But let me, Frank, since when this application first came to you, and it was said office, and then you did your sort of review of zoning compliance and whatnot, do you have to do anything now that it's been revised to a different use? Do you have to update any of your paperwork?
I should probably do a new determination letter. Sure.
Okay. Okay. All right. So he'll work on that. And you guys will go to ZBA to see if they want to do a special permit. Ashley's checking on things, and we'll do the secret determination now.
And I have a question. Why, this is Eric Londa, I'm one of the owners, one of the landlords. Why does it need to, I mean, I understand process here, you know, from our perspective, right? We got hit with, you know, a longstanding tenant going out of business by a state order due to a pandemic. And I understand that process here is important, but, you know, timing is important for us as well. Obviously, you know, we have, you know, a building that is fully tenanted besides the New York Sports Club that was mandatory, you know, that was mandated to close. Why do we have to go to ZBA at this point? It's a permitted use, it's C2. Like, is there a way to, you know, I don't want to say use the word fast track, but, you know, we're in a little bit of a critical timeline here. And, you know, it is a permitted use as described in, you know, in the code. So can someone help me understand how we can maybe expedite the process?
But it's not going to the ZBA for a variance, it's going to the ZBA for a special permit.
But if it's an approved use, why does it need a special permit?
It's a special permit. But Teresa,
Yeah, that's all right, Ashley. I think we've explained that under one of the provisions in the zoning code, it indicates that there needs to be a special permit under that article for this type of use, which is a new use at this location. So no one's trying to extend the process or anything. We're just trying to make sure we're following the code, and we should be able to address that for you relatively expeditiously. The one question I had is in terms of the seeker typing. The only thing you're doing is reoccupying the building. You're not expanding the building. You're not changing the parking lot. You're not doing anything physically to the building.
Nothing.
Is that correct? Okay.
That's correct.
All right. Okay.
We love the space because we can literally show up on day one and it's exactly what we're looking for. Open layout, we can come in and there's plenty of room for us to do what we need to do. We have no plans to make it.
And if I can interject, you're probably going to see probably more projects like this. And as many of you know, I'm in the real estate biz in the village. I have more tenants than ever coming in saying, no, we don't want walls. We want open space. We want open. And so even with workstations, we don't want to be near people. We want to make sure we have room to spread out. And in particular, the last year, obviously, but even going up to that, the concept was these open workspaces, these almost like the incubators where there aren't walls, it's group think, group desks, and more open. So there's more of a presence of this, and I'm sure you'll be seeing more of that coming down the pike, Chair and members of Planning Board. But I agree. I will take the time, explain this to my clients about the fact that there is a process. And I was going through that section, and I literally every item makes reference to Article 10.
yeah, it's very
so it's
weird.
not just this,
Yeah.
every single item in the C2 that, so office may be permitted in C1, which is also permitted in C2, but obviously then you have an issue with it changes the dynamics of parking. So it's a push or pull, and my clients will have to decide if they want rather be more. So I get it. We do fit, and I'm hoping maybe one of the answers I could get from the board tonight is if from hearing what the use would be, what the plans of their intended use would be, do we fit under assembly? Because if you as chair and members of planning board say, we're not sure, then that's something that I need to go back to my clients and say, hey, we need to clean this up. But if we collectively agree that, yeah, this is assembly, then I will absolutely take this down to ZBA. We'll get on the next, hopefully in the next agenda and go forward. But if we are reluctant to define this, and again, if you want a chance to speak to counsel, Ms. Bankner, about this, I understand, but I just want to make sure we're down the right path. Because
I think what Andrew's trying to say is we're trying to avoid getting, again, these are special circumstances and special times. What we're trying to avoid is that we get bounced around and we end up back here in 2 months, in 3 months, and we still don't have, a path for moving forward. That's problematic for us. Like, I can't, and I understand, I understand the process, but again, these are extraordinary times. We're bringing a good business to the village that is more, endemic of today's times, right? People don't want to commute to the city. This is a tenant that probably, is bringing jobs here that would normally go to a Brooklyn or Queens. And so we also have.
Guys,
it's extraordinary times for everybody.
Yeah. So I guess what maybe it would be helpful.
I mean, you threw us the curveball. Let's stay with the sports analogy. You threw us a curveball tonight, a change of use at the meeting. All the paperwork we had was for something different. I don't even know what the code definition of assemblage is. So it's hard for me to make a determination of whether you fit that definition because, I know what the word assemblage means, but that doesn't necessarily.
Kathy, let me just interject here. You're going to have Frank redo his determination. So Frank gets to decide what assemblage is.
Right.
So it's not really a planning board issue. And I haven't heard anybody express a concern about the proposed use here. We're just trying to help you get the approvals that you need.
We're just trying to figure out a timeline, I guess, is ultimately my question. What is our timeline here when we get back to you? Like, what are the scenarios? When should we be looking at? Is it, that's really what I'm trying to find out.
Right. Well,
if you kept going down the office path, you were so over on your parking requirements, you were going to have to go to the ZBA for that path as well.
Actually, that's exactly why, and to be candid, again, once the concept was explained to me, and I spoke to Brian Dempsey, the concept of what is it that you're doing? You have a big space. Why do you need so much space for so few either employees or office? And when they were explaining what the actual process is, I'm like, well, that's assembly. Well, and if it's assembly, then wait, look here. Here's the assembly, 3042, 311 AE. And then one thing led to another. So, and I'm not trying to backdoor this. I'm merely trying to say, okay, this is something that obviously if it's assembly.
We can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, someone's trying to.
He's trying to talk.
Here, Cindy.
We still can't hear you. You lost your sound. Okay, we're going around in circles here. We still have other items on the agenda tonight. So is that what you were going to say, Cindy? No, we can't hear you. You're going to have to log off and log back on.
Yell really loud. I'm just kidding.
But we're right.
I'll type in the chat.
So I think we have a course of action as far as the timeline. You can work with the staff about getting, Frank has to do his redetermination first. Once he does that, Amber and Ashley can work with you to get on to the ZBA agenda. And, but
Frank,
in the meantime,
would you like, let's see, Brian and Miguel to resubmit tomorrow so we can generate that? Or do you want to, is that how you want to work that, Frank? Just so we know.
Sure, that would be fine. But as is usual the case, there's no definition for assemblage in our code.
I know
there's
that.
not. I just checked.
I know. I same here, Ashley.
So would a path of lesser resistance be office to go get a variance? I mean,
I actually don't think so. I think getting a special permit is a lighter lift than getting a variance.
I agree with
A
Ashley.
special permit is something that's allowed by the code.
I agree.
A variance is seeking an exception from the code.
Right. Got it.
okay.
Kathy.
Ashley, should we still type this for secret tonight or should we?
I think the facts of the case as it relates to seeker are the same. They're not doing any new construction. It's reoccupying an existing building. It's a use, whether they go for office or they go for the manufacturing, it's a use that is allowed by the code. So that is clearly within the list of type 2 actions under seeker.
Okay. Okay, so then I need a motion. Cindy, is your sound back?
I don't know, tell me.
Yes.
Yes, yes, there you go.
Wanted to ask,
Hey.
or are you good?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, do
Thank
I
you.
have a second?
Type 2.
A second,
Who is that?
John,
Okay, John,
yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes,
Ellen,
Yes.
and I vote yes, so type 2 for secret. Okay,
Kathy, can I just say that it's a great use for a building and a great business and a bunch of local guys. We should do whatever we can to fast track this thing.
I agree with you. I mean, we're not,
Thank you.
I don't think we ever do anything that throws a monkey wrench into the works on purpose. I mean,
Well,
you
if
know,
we
we're trying
can,
to help everybody here. If it
if we
makes
can
sense.
start,
and it's
if
good
we
for
can
the
start
village,
preparing
well,
a resolution, we could do that.
yeah,
If I might make just a general recommendation is that this issue of all of the permitted principal uses referring to Article X is throughout the code.
Yes.
And I think it would be helpful if the planning board made a recommendation to the village board of trustees to amend that section of the code so that it's more
Completely
clear
agree, actually.
what is the permitted principal use and what is the special permit use. That might not help this particular applicant, but going forward, it could help a lot of applicants.
Can you send me that in an email?
Yes.
Thank you.
And if you need
Okay.
any business individuals or individuals involved in the community, we'd be more than happy to sign on and support that. Absolutely, Ms. Lay. Totally, completely agree with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
All right, so
Okay,
Chair, members of
thank
the planning
you.
board,
Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Good luck,
everybody.
guys.
Now, wait, before you,
With 124 Palmer.
before we hang up, I want everyone to go back in their closets, look deep far in the closets and go find your baseball cards from a couple years ago, okay? That's everyone's homework assignment. We've got our work. You guys have to do your part.
and my mother threw them out when I went to college.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. All right, the next item on the agenda was a late addition to the agenda. We received, last month, we received a request from 526, 530 Fayette Avenue for an extension for the site plan approval. It was granted a year ago in March of 2020, and it's expiring. But due to the pandemic, they've had serious issues moving forward. So they asked that we give them an extension for the site plan approval. So anybody, we got the memo, the letter from them requesting this later on, late today. So I don't know if everybody had a chance to see it. Hopefully you did. If anybody has any questions, that's all we have at this point in time. Anybody have any concerns? If not, we can make a motion to extend the approval.
So moved.
Yeah, second, I remember the application and
Yeah, I remember it
Good
also. It was a very non-controversial application that,
Yes.
we basically, we had a couple of issues, I think, on historical property or something, but, right.
Bloody.
Okay.
How much extra time did you need?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
How much extra time?
They
Yeah,
asked for a 1-year extension.
1 year.
Okay,
And the big issue is that because of the executive orders barring evictions, they were not able to evict the residential tenant that's in the building, and so they couldn't
Oh.
demolition permits. So
Yeah.
that's
That's the issue. Okay. I think that's expiring in April, the eviction notice, April or May. I just saw that somewhere recently. Okay. All right. So we have a motion on the table to grant the extension. Richard,
yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
John,
yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes.
Great. Thank you all so much for putting us on the agenda tonight. Really appreciate it.
Okay.
Oh, somebody's here from them. All right. Thank you. Okay, now we need a motion to go into executive session to seek the advice of legal counsel with regards to ongoing litigation. Before we do that, I just want to go over the logistics with the team. We have people who are recused from different applications because of other issues. We're going to do Hampshire first, again, like we did last time. So John, we'll have to let you know. I can text you or something when we're ready to go into the second executive
Grove
session
Street.
for Grove Street,
Mm.
ABC Properties versus the planning board.
Okay.
And Ellen, you will go into the first executive session with us right away, and we have to let other people know. I have to call Bob Sposino, and Teresa's going to let John Henry know that we're ready to go into executive session. So today we got emails from Amber. There's 2 separate numbers to call. We're getting messages from Mr. Geary to reconsider his application. I'm sorry, we're not doing that tonight. We're moving forward with the rest of the agenda. We still have several things to do tonight. So I need a motion then to go into executive session.
So Kathy, can we do one motion for both executive sessions? Because I think we have to name the litigation. So the motion would be to enter into executive session regarding Hampshire litigation and Grove Street, also known as ABC LLC litigation.
Correct.
Okay, so I guess I make that motion.
Is that a proper motion for us to do it that way? Teresa,
It's listed here as 2 separate Zooms though.
Right. Yeah, but that's just the logistics of how we're doing this.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. So we have to leave.
Kathy, that's perfectly fine to just do one motion, because you're not going into 2 executive sessions. You're going into 1 executive session in which different people are participating.
Right.
So don't worry about it.
Okay. 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 So we need a motion then to go into the executive session for advice of counsel for the two lawsuits pending against the planning board, Hampshire and ABC Properties, which is Grove Street.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay. John?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So we have to leave this meeting and we'll go into the Hampshire Zoom call at this point.
And I'm recused on that for reasons already put on the record. And
Do you want me to text you when we're
text
ready
me.
to go into the other?
Yes.
Okay,
please.
I will do that. But in the
Thank you.
meantime, now I have to call Bob Sposino and get him in. Okay, great. Okay.
Okay.
See you in the other Zoom.
I'll be signing off for the night unless you need me for anything else after you come back.
I don't think so. All we're going to do is close the meeting when we come back.
Okay.
And
Okay, great.
Teresa, you're signing off as well. And Frank, thank you very much. And Esteban, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And-
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to keep Amber with us. Okay.
So I'm going to pause the recording here and everyone should sign on to the other link.
Okay, and I'll try to get it.
But note that we are still live streaming.
All right, long day for you today, Amber? I know, we get up at 6 o'clock to
Oh,
walk.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, so, where do you live, Amber, that you commute?
I'm on Fenimore.
Oh,
and-
so you moved to Mamaroneck?
Yes, like shortly before I started working here.
Oh, well, welcome. That's really good. So you can walk to work if you're on Fenimore. Oh, you'll love it in the springtime when it's really nice and everything here, you know?
Yeah.
Cherry trees down at the, all right, I think we did this last time. Oh, here's John. Okay. Okay, so.
We have a quorum now.
We're live now. Okay, this is the Village of Mamaroneck Planning Board. We've returned from our executive session where we discussed ongoing lawsuits with our council. So I need a motion to come out of executive session and back to the regular session.
I'll make the motion.
I will second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then we need to just adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everybody.